Today I want to tell you about the Dr. Prepare shoe heater or a boot heater. I've tested this thing out several times this week, actually 3 times, and I'm going to tell you about these tests. But before I do, I want to tell you that this is not just about using at home if the kids are in the snow or something like that. It's also about using it when you're camping. And you'll notice I have a marine battery with an inverter, and I'm hooking this up today to this to show you it works when you're out camping and you can't plug it into a regular outlet. So let me show you real quick about this heater, and then we'll get into the 3 tests I did this week. So first of all, it's got this on button here, and it goes up to 120 minutes, and you can maybe even hear it. If I turn this thing on, you can hear it. It's not super loud, but it also has these 2 arms right here. It's one arm, but there's 2 pieces to it, and it goes into different positions. It locks, so then on the side right here, if you want to release it, you can then drop it back down. The other thing it has is these will extend. And when you extend these, not only is the openings up here to heat your boot or shoe, they're also near the bottom. And this will be real important when I tell you more about my test shortly. It's really easy to use, and there's not much more to tell you. You just plug it in and turn it on. Now the instructions do say for shoes and boots to do it for 20 minutes, but I found I needed it more than that, and that's because I've soaked these boots and these tennis shoes. Well, here's what happened on the first 2 tests. I had some work boots, and then I have my hiking boots. Now these are winter hiking boots. They're thicker and they have a lot more material. On my work boots, I just soaked them a little bit. I put a sprayer inside, but I didn't get it so soaked that the water came out. Those are not waterproof boots, and it took about 1 hour to get them dry. I mean, they were pretty dry in 30 minutes, but to get them completely dry, it was about 1 hour. But I really want to tell you about this boot here, my hiking boots for the winter. I soaked it so much so I was just dumping water out. So what happens when your boots are wet? You just put them on top of here, and what I do is I put them on so that the toe is near the top. Now depending on how heavy your boot is, in this case here, it's going to want to rotate this back. So then you're probably going to have to use this button here on the side and drop this down more towards the front. All right, so when I put this other one on, got to make sure this is up here and it locks into place, and then I turned it on. Now I only did it for 20 minutes. And here's what I found out is that the air blows a little bit better out the nozzle on the top, and so the toes got dry pretty darn good in 20 minutes. But then I pulled the boot off and I felt that up here by the ankle, it was still wet. Because where my ankle was not dry yet, I actually switched these around. Now there's a couple ways to do it, but I found that with the boots here, I needed to switch them around so that the toe was resting down below. So now you can see the nozzle here that's pushing out the most area, which I think is happening. It's getting air pushing up from both the bottom and the top, but it's focusing the air on the ankle instead of the toe. So then I did 20 minutes more on it, and I pulled them off, and they were almost completely dry. So at this point I'm into this 40 minutes. But when I pulled it off and I put my hand in here again, there was just a little bit of dampness. Now I could have put these boots on and been fine, but it wasn't quite dry. So then I put them back up here like I did the very first time with the nozzle pointed to the toe, and as you can see here, I just did this, ran it for another 20 minutes, and in 1 hour these boots were completely dry. I'm just going to tell you, you could sit these boots out for 2 days, and it depends on if they're in the sun or they're by a fireplace, but they might dry in a day, but a lot of times it's going to be about 2 days. But with this heater, they're done in an hour. Now let me tell you about what happened with my tennis shoes. On these tennis shoes, they are not waterproof, and I soaked them. I soaked them on the top, I soaked them inside, so the water was running out of them when I put them on this shoe dryer. So again, you're gonna see I soaked both shoes, I put them on here, and then I turned it on, and this time I did 30 minutes because I soaked these shoes so much. I was like, you know, 20 minutes is probably not enough, let's go 30. So I ran them for 30 minutes. I took the shoe off just like I did with the boot. I felt inside. They were pretty dry at the top where the toe is at. And then I switched them around so that the nozzle at the top was focused near the heel. When I did that, I also ran it for 30 minutes again because I soaked these, and you're not supposed to be soaked. Now you may step in water, a river or a lake, and they may get that soaked. So here's what happened after another 30 minutes with the nozzle pointed at the heel. I took it off, checked it out. It was still a little damp. Again, it was pretty darn dry, but what I thought, it's like, you know, one more time. Let's turn it back one more time so that the nozzle is at the toe. And this time I think I only put it on there for about 15 minutes and ran it. And after 15 minutes, it was completely dry. Now this is always going to depend upon your shoe and how wet it is. I would say if your kids went outside in their tennis shoes in the snow, which you shouldn't do because they're going to be freezing, and if they don't stay out too long, it might be 20 minutes or 30 minutes to get them dry. But if your boots or your running shoes get extremely soaked, it may take 45 minutes or an hour. Again, these shoes here took about an hour and 15 minutes because I soaked them. The boots were soaked, but not quite as bad, and it took an hour. I mean, these shoes typically would dry faster, but I put a lot more water in them. I was really impressed with how well this heater worked because within an hour, both of these were dry. Hour and 15 minutes with the shoes, but again, I soaked them. I want to end up with this, and that is you can use this when you're out camping. I've tested some things like a hot plate and things that take a lot of power, and some of those things would not work off of my marine battery. Whether it's the inverter or the marine battery, it wouldn't work. But it does work here, and let me turn this on real quick because I want to prove it to you. So you can hear it's going, and I'm just going to leave this on while I wrap up this video because you can see how it works, how simple it is. You can hook it up to a marine battery, and I have another marine battery where you don't even need an inverter. You just plug it into the battery. I guess the inverter may be built into the battery. But I go camping a lot, as you guys know, and I'm out all winter long in Colorado. And sometimes my boots do get wet because maybe I got snow in the top of the boot or something like that, or maybe I put some shoes on because I didn't think I was going to need the boots. And it's really nice when I'm out in that canvas tent and the stove's going inside and my boots are wet. I plug this thing in, half hour or an hour, they're dry. It's so nice because you don't have to put it in front of a stove or out in the sun, and you don't have to wait for a day. So check out this Dr. Prepare shoe heater. You'll really like it. I'm sure of it. I love it. It's worked great, and I'm gonna always have it with me when I'm out camping now. Thanks for joining me here in Colorado. Look forward to seeing you guys in the next video. Please like, subscribe, share, and turn on notifications so you'll be alerted as soon as I put out a new video.